Sean Hannity's Live Free or Die, America and the World on the Brink. And Sean continues to join us on the broadcast to discuss why he wrote this brand new book.
So, we have then if you go through the process, the timeline, et cetera, how is it possible that all of these medical professionals and doctors and researchers and those that project models, they were at one point saying 2.5 million dead Americans, and then they went as low as only 60,000, and then it's 80,000. We're at 150,000 now. So they got a lot wrong. I mean, I really do respect Dr. Fauci. These are not words. This guy's dedicated his life to saving other people's lives. But remember, we were all lied to. He got a lot of key things wrong at very crucial times. The one thing that the president got right was he recognized early that this could be bad. Let's take the precautions necessary. The next thing that the president did was it was the fastest, biggest, largest medical mobilization in history. Now, I was at the epicenter of this, Jordan, and I can tell you, I remember a Saturday afternoon, I just went out on my deck to get some fresh air and pull my head off my phone for a minute, and I'm thinking, in the last 36 hours, we have 18,000 confirmed cases in Long Island alone. And I'm talking to friends of mine that work in local hospitals, and they are telling me this has become a total, and by the way, I dedicate this word to Adam Schiff, the congenital liar, a total shit show.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah.
And they were overwhelmed. They were in trouble. It was hitting a crisis point. Now, in early March, you had the mayor of New York telling people, here are my recommendations where you need to go out on the town for March, 3rd through 6th or whatever the date was. And Andrew Cuomo arrogantly saying, I know I speak for the mayor of New York, and, we're New Yorkers, and we have the best medical system in the world. He was saying that in March.
Yeah.
Then he's screaming, by the end of the month, I need 40,000 ventilators.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump was able to mobilize what ultimately now we can see in the rearview mirror what became the fastest, largest medical mobilization in the history of mankind. And he built the hospitals. He manned the hospitals. He provided the masks, the gowns, the shields, the gloves, the therapeutics, the medicines, and even converted the hospitals to COVID-19 capability. Most of those hospital beds that the president built remained empty.
Yeah, I remember seeing those images, Sean, of the Javits Center. I mean, it was like, the military comes in and they build an entire hospital for COVID, and it was barely used at all.
1,000 of 3,000 beds used, only 200 of the beds in the 1,000-bed Navy ship Comfort, again, converted to COVID, manned by the president, providing all the PPE. It was close on ventilators, but guess what? We never ran out of any ventilators. We always had enough masks. We always had enough gloves. Barely. We were, just keeping up. These things have been depleted by Obama and Biden, and they never replenished it. And, you get all these Monday morning quarterbacks, but we were able to do it. And then we find out now in retrospect that the one thing that did remain certain, like we're a little surprised when we saw these hot spots, and we see now, I think, what is the beginning of the flattening of the curve in the Sun Belt, meaning Florida and Texas and Arizona. But what the president was able to do is, very quickly identify the needs and send everything in. But the one thing that remained constant was older people with underlying conditions, health conditions, and compromised immune systems were the most vulnerable. Okay, so Ron DeSantis in Florida, I mean, he's getting criticized because I always said it was when, not a matter of if, we would have hot spots and we'd have resurgence. Anyway, so he protected the elderly population in Florida. If you look at the total death toll of Florida, if you look separately at the total death toll of Texas, and then you look at the worst one day in New York, well, the number in Florida and the number in Texas are still lower than the one worst day in New York, because we learned later on March 28th, the dopey governor, issues an executive order mandating that nursing homes and long-term care facilities take in COVID-positive patients. And then it was followed by the New Jersey governor just a few days later. Then it was followed by the Pennsylvania governor. And then you had the absolutely ridiculous Governor Whitmer. These governors did a horrible job. The governor of Florida did do a good job. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have a resurgence, a hot spot. but at least we went in and we protected the most vulnerable population. And if you look at nearly 33,000 deaths in New York, well, Florida's at 6,000, and the same with Texas. And they had it as bad with the second wave as New York had it with the first wave.